Sometimes when working with equations, we run into ones that are called quadratic in form. This is because if we do a little bit of algebra manipulation and some substitution, we can get the equation into the proper quadratic form. Sometimes these kinds of equations have a degree that's greater than 2, or even have expressions instead of variables. So how will we approach those kind? Well, first one we have is x to the fourth plus x squared minus 12 equals 0. So this is close to quadratic in form. And the reason I say that is because I could kind of write it like this. I could say that this is x squared squared plus x squared minus 12 equals 0. So instead of having a 4, 2, and no power, I can say it's 2, 1, and no power, like a quadratic equation. But it's still not any different than when we started, we just kind of manipulated it around. So what we can do is we can do a thing called a u substitution, or any variable you choose. So we can say that u equals the middle variable, x squared. And so if I go through here, I see that I have an x squared here, so I can say it's just u squared, plus, and I have another x squared here, so let's call it u, and I have no x squared here, so I can just say it's minus 12 equals 0. And now I've gone from quadratic in form to quadratic. Now I can just solve normally. Complete and squared, quadratic formula, factoring, whichever you prefer. I prefer factoring, so it's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get two parentheses, and it's going to be u plus 4 and u minus 3 is the factors. And set each one individually equal to 0, so u plus 4 equals 0, u minus 3 equals 0. So u is going to equal negative 4, and u is going to equal positive 3. So here are my answers. But remember, the original equation had x's. This has u's. So I know what u is, but I don't know what x is. So I'm just going to go back up here to my substitution and solve for x. So u is equal to negative 4, so I'm going to have negative 4 equals x squared, and u equals 3, so I'm going to have 3 equals x squared. Now I'm going to solve for both and get my answers. Again, to get rid of a square, we square root, so we're going to end up with square root of negative 4. And remember, when you take a square root, you must have plus or minus equals x. And I can take the negative out and call it I, and then square root of 4 is 2, so plus or minus 2i equals x. Same thing here, square root both sides. Going to get plus or minus square root of 3 equals x. Nothing I can do here. So if I don't want to write it like this, but you can, we have our two answers for each, a total of 4. We can even write it out as x equals plus or minus square root of 3 and plus or minus 2i, or you can write it out as square root of 3, negative square root of 3, positive 2i, and negative 2i, whichever form you want. I would leave it the way I had it up here, but if you want to change it to this or even to this, 100% acceptable. Whichever you choose, they're all the same. Next I have x squared minus 5 all squared minus 3 times x squared minus 5 minus 4 equals 0. So again, it's pretty close to quadratic, just quadratic in form. So I'm going to take my variable u, and I'm going to use a substitution for the middle, which is x squared minus 5, not the 3, just the x squared minus 5. And I'm going to replace all the x squared minus 5s with u. So here I'm going to have u squared, because there's 2 of them, minus 3u, because there's only 1 of them, minus 4, there's none of them, equals 0. And now I just solve. So again, I'm preferring to factor, so that's what I'm going to do. And my factors are going to be u minus 4 and u plus 1. And again, set each one individually equal to 0. and I'm going to end up getting u equals 4 and u equals -1. So again, I know what u is, but I had x's in my variable, so I need to replace it and solve for x. So that's what I'm going to do. 4 equals x squared minus 5, and -1 equals x squared minus 5. Now solve. I'm going to add the 5 over and get 9 equals x squared. Square root both sides, and I'm going to get plus or minus 3 equals x. Do it again here. Add 5 over, I get 4 equals x squared. Square root both sides, and I'm going to get plus or minus 2 equals x. So I have my solutions here, again 4 of them. You can leave it as such, or if you're so inclined, you can do 2, -2, 3, -3. Again, it's all the same, but that's what you would do.